from the back of Ruth the Realtor's car, it's the Stacking Deeds Show. I'm Ruth the Realtor's part-time mechanic, neighbor Doug, broadcasting live from the spacious recording studio in the trunk of her 88 Lincoln Town Car. On today's show, we're in a seller's market. Want to know how to make attention-grabbing offers? We're joined by top Austin real estate pro, Joelle Dowe. She'll share her expert tips and strategies to craft offers so good, sellers will practically throw the keys at you. Ouch. In our headlines, think twice before you paint your living room lime green. A recent story details 7 ways people destroy the values of their homes. And we'll jump in. Plus, we'll share Ruth's Rotary phone and break down the pros and cons of HOAs. And of course, like a snake on a plane, I'll pop in later with my property pop quiz. And now, 2 peeps who have enough frequent flyer miles for 2 round-trip tickets to Gotham City. It's Crystal Hammond and Joe Saul. Say hi.
Well, hello, listeners. You know what? I think the Gotham City dig, you look like Michael Keaton. Well, there's no T in Michael Keaton.
I do? Thank you. You're talking to me, right?
Sorry, not you, Doug.
Ouch.
There we go. Keep bringing it, Crystal. How are you this morning?
Great.
I guess non-specific time of the day for people listening at whatever time.
Let's make it rain keys. That would hurt, wouldn't it?
How are you? Insert local time here.
That's right. How was your local time doing?
Wonderful.
Yes.
Our non-specific weather is non-specific.
Non-Pacific? It's not Pacific weather?
Non-specific adjective.
Easy for you to say. We got a great show today. You know, when we think about hot real estate markets, Crystal, Austin, Texas, one of the hottest. And if you're trying to score a deal there, somebody's going to come over the top of you with an all-cash offer.
True.
It's going to just destroy your ability to get any value. But Joelle has found a way to help people do that. And so we're super happy she's going to join us today.
Yes, and she's going to tell us a lot of good tips about recognizing when you're in a seller's market, when you're in a buyer's market, because this past pandemic, there were a lot of crazy things going on with this seller's market. So there's some things to look out for when you're in a new market and things you would totally never think about that she's going to give us tips on.
I can't wait to hear that. I can't wait for our headline. But before all that, can you help me get rid of this cold? Let's get rid of this cold, please.
How so?
I have no idea.
Oh.
Just if I knew, I would have gotten rid of it myself, Crystal.
An exorcism. This
Perfect.
is the Linda Blair hour. That's
I heard
what we
that
need.
works. Welcome to the Exercise Joe's. That was going to be weird. Exercise Joe's Chest podcast. Like what?
What? We just love, and there we go. We need to
All of a
grow
sudden.
listeners, not
Yes.
lose listeners.
And there goes the audience. Yes. All right. Let's get into our headline before this gets any creepier.
Hello, chaps. And now our Stacking Deeds headlines. Cheerio and pip pip.
Our headline today comes to us from GoBankingRates.com, and it's written by Andrew Lisa. And Andrew writes something that definitely caught my eye, Crystal. 7 ways people destroy the value of their homes, according to a real estate agent. And I don't know how many homes you've walked through recently, but I'm thinking about every property I've purchased, Crystal. And I think, really? So you went with this? Like as we go and we're searching for properties with a real estate pro and I'm walking through these houses, I'm like, okay, so you made the decision to make it look that way. Like people do some just weird stuff when they're selling a house.
And it's weird how bullheaded they are, because it is true. Like from the open, lime green painting color, that's too bold. Even when I'm watching some of the remodel shows, they have this like emerald green, like very, very bold color tiles. And I'm like, people are going to love that or hate it. And I think 90% of the people are going to hate that. It's just going like way too bold or just overly customized.
You know, it's funny. When I was trying to sell a house right before the whole banking crisis, 2007, 2008, that time frame, and I was selling it into it. Of course, it was in the Detroit market, so the prices were falling very quickly. And I realized I needed the help of a stager. Well, instead of paying a stager, I wanted to know more about it. So what I did was I hired them for an hour of their time for the stager to walk with me so I could stage it myself. And I thought that was money really well spent. I would recommend that to everybody. Hire a stager to walk through a house with you and just impart some of their knowledge. Whether you're going to hire them later or not, the fact that you walk through, it's almost like when you walk through with an inspector. You know, you walk through the house with the inspector, you get way more than ever appears on that report. The report shows you some stuff, but the inspector's like, here's how I found that. I looked at this, then I looked at that, then I looked at that, and bam, I knew there was a water leak. And you're like, that is genius. Like the stuff you learn by going through with them. But anyway, so it was a really good use of money, except for one thing. We had this really small living room in this little bungalow. It was an 880 square foot bungalow.
Ooh,
and it was really a nice house. But along the sidewall that had a fireplace and some beautiful windows, we had decided to paint that an accent wall, like a very deep cinnamon red color. And she told us to get rid of it for the same reason you're talking about, Crystal. She's like, you know, people are going to love this or they're going to hate it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I painted it white. Doug, I think you even helped me paint that wall white.
I was waiting for you to insert that because I liked how he said the royal we painted it white.
He's French.
Yeah. I painted that white.
Like, what did I get? Like half a PBR out of it.
And a pizza. Maybe half a pizza.
That is the currency of helping friends move, pizza.
That was it. But I didn't like it as much, Doug. I don't know if you remember that wall, but I didn't like it as much when we were done. Did you like it better?
I wouldn't say I liked it better. I'm a fan of accent walls, and I remember liking that color, but I get the point that it's just too risky. If your goal is to move the house, people want to be able to, A, see themselves in that house, and right away you've got 40 to 60% of the people are like, oh, I hate that color red. So why risk it? And B, if it's a flat palette, even though that's boring and you may not want to live there, it allows people coming in to immediately picture, here's what I could do to the place. Whereas anything that is a drastic color like that or a drastic piece of furniture or whatever just sort of clutters their creative vision for what it might look like when they want to live there.
Maybe I needed something else to do this, but what I liked about it, it was not my ego. What I liked about that, Doug's like, whatever.
Yes,
you tell yourself that.
Nice try.
But I don't think it was. What I thought about that was that I felt the room felt bigger with the accent wall than it did when we took it down. Like it emphasized that this is a small ass living room when we took that down. And when it was up, you know, your attention was on the accent wall, not on how small. And now, could I have done the same thing then maybe with mirrors?
Oh.
Probably could have done something
Take
that
the
way.
ones that you had off the ceiling and put them on the wall. Boom. There.
Well, that makes a good point of, you know, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, because if I would have walked in and saw that cinnamon color wall, I'd be like, oh, yuck, let's just turn around and get out. I don't even want to see anymore. These people made bad decisions and I don't even want to see what they've done to the bathrooms. So that does make a good point that you want as many people as possible to visualize.
I destroyed the bathrooms. Oh, that's a different. We're talking about selling houses.
Joe bombs the bathroom every day.
There is a funny part to that, though. I don't know if you remember this, Doug, about that house, but that bathroom had some problems.
It was the loudest flushing toilet. I mean, you could flush a cat down that toilet if you wanted.
It was a jet
Cooper's
engine.
right behind him.
I know. No, look at the cat go running. But it was. They had some problems, so they had like additional forcing.
Motor?
I guess.
Yeah, they had a whole
something.
motor.
It went woof. Like it was.
When you pulled the lid off the tank, yes, I did that. It was like different guts inside the back of the tank. It was amazing. It was
like a rocket in that thing.
So you couldn't do a courtesy flush while you're still sitting there. You could have gotten sucked in.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Boy, we're off topic.
Totally.
Yes.
Back to the piece.
over personalizing your home was number one on their piece. And this is what I saw all the time was people with tons of pictures of them doing different things. And they don't want to see you living in the house. They want to see them living in that house. So like my stager said, Crystal, the more you can make it seem like the Pottery Barn, better you're going to be.
Yeah, I do have a friend that had, like, when you walked into her house, not only were there almost life-size, like, portraits of herself and her mom, there was even one on an easel. And just imagine, walking into that place like, okay.
You were talking about me having an ego.
Right. It's like,
look, a life-size picture of me as you walk in my house.
Yeah, that was unique. So that was one customization that could definitely, I don't know, it's like rub people differently. And it is. When people walk in, they're judging everything, the curtains, the tile, the floors. So you want people to be as less judgy as possible, I'd say.
Yeah, the vast majority of changes we made did make our house look more Pottery Barn. And I got to tell you, when it was finished, it was fantastic. And we've been doing that with houses we've sold ever since.
There you go. People spend money at a Pottery Barn. So when they walk in, give them the feel of spend some money, write that offer.
Here's a big one for our audience, neglecting maintenance. And I'll tell you why people do this, Crystal. Maybe you're getting a little bit of income from the property. Maybe there's a trickle of money coming in and you start relying on that money. You increase your lifestyle because of the fact that you got this money coming in and you start spending it. And instead of continuing with your maintenance plan, you go, well, I'll handle that later. That never ends well.
No. And I learned this years ago when I used to attend, there was a rehabbers roundtable of people who rehabbed properties in my local area. And they were like, every few years, like get on that routine maintenance schedule and disguise it as a gift to your renters. Say, hey, this is year 10, we're going to give you new carpet. Or this is year 15, you get to pick out a new fixture or something like that.
What if you told people that as they were moving in too? I mean, that could be
that could be a seller point.
Yeah, every X number of years we replace the carpet. Every X number of years we do that could increase longevity.
Right. And they get to say, well, like Ford, you can have any color car as long as it's black. You can do something like, hey, here are your choices. Give them very limited choices of you get to pick out the carpet in 5 years or however many years. That's cool. I would want to remain a great renter if I got that kind of power and say in the lease or options.
A gentleman named Alex Hormozy has a fantastic book called $100 Million Offers. And in that book, he talks about when you're trying to make people want to buy from you, the more you can make it that all they have to do is write a check and everything else seems easy, that's going to keep people coming back. Like if I don't have to do anything but write a check, it's going to be incredible. And I think that's really what they're getting at here. If you show people the maintenance schedule, they're going to feel comfortable that you're taking care of the property. I would even make a list. Did Suni talk about this? Where you put I know Alan has in the past, Alan Corey, that you take your major things like the roof, the other major maintenance things that are coming up, and you put those on a schedule so people can see those. If people know that everything's taken care of, they might be able to buy a house on their own, but they'll stay with you because it's the easy button, Crystal. I mean, heck, if it's easier to live in your house, it's fantastic. Number 3 on this list is ignoring curb appeal. This has got to be a big one. I mean, when people pull up and they see the ugly bushes in the front that haven't been maintained or the grass.
Correct. Yeah. Or Ruth's Lincoln Town car junking up the place or sitting on bricks.
She's going to stop ferrying us around if you say that much louder.
Us.
Yeah.
Present company excluded.
And here's a big one too for our audience, DIYing beyond your abilities. I mean, it's great to, we had Mindy Jensen join us while I was away. And I know Carl Jensen, her husband, loves YouTube University. And he will tell you point blank, he knew nothing about fixing anything. And now he does 90% of the work on their houses.
Oh, that is cool.
Which can be great, but there's also times when you find you're over your head.
Oh, definitely.
Yes. And Doug's been there before.
Can't wait to hear this.
Well, that in-ground pool didn't go exactly.
In-ground pool? That's ambitious.
I mean, who knew you needed more than a shovel?
What do you got to do?
Spackle?
Dig a hole. Who can't dig a hole?
My goodness.
So easy.
Failing to make energy efficient improvements. like failing to upgrade insulation, windows, or heating and cooling systems can hurt your home's value.
Oh, yeah, that's not maintaining the HVAC systems is definitely a big one. You know what else I kind of have a mini gripe with? I'm going to get on my soapbox here. Original hardwood floors. I have, well, not even original. I have hardwood floors in my tiny little condo, and my poor laptop has been dropped so many times. It makes a new ding on the floor. So I am actually a proponent of like that.
No.
They have this new, what is it? The LPV luxury, whatever, because you can drop your plant. Yes, my plant has fallen over, but you can drop your laptop as many times as you want and it won't create a ding. Like just yesterday, I dropped my poor blender. Like, I don't know how it just fell out of my hands. I think I was moving too quickly. And now there's another big divot on my hardwood floor.
It's hard making drunk brownies, isn't it, Crystal?
My smoothie.
You have so many other things to worry about than your floors if you're dropping your
goodness.
laptops, your blender, and your plants.
Just to name a few. That's only to name a few. Like, I don't know if I'm just moving too quickly in the mornings where I'm trying to get my smoothie in and get out the door on time, but for my 5-minute commute to work. But when I drop stuff, it makes a huge ding. So I would try out those new floors. Like at first I turned my nose up at them like, no, I want hardwood. But in practice, my hardwood floors are really taking a beating. And it's just me. I have no one else to blame.
I think they look so beautiful, though.
They do look beautiful, though. But I wonder even if the bamboo flooring takes a better licking or ticking.
I wouldn't
licking
think
and
much.
keeps on ticking.
Maybe a little bit, but I don't know that, that there's
but
a much.
I'm willing to explore the energy efficient and like newer products because there are like innovation is huge and they're making so many things that are better and maybe cheaper, but in the long run, that could be a thing too. Because even on a previous show, not to be a run-on sentence here, but we had the landscape guy on and he talked about turf, how much more expensive the artificial turf is, but it lasts way longer and can improve your curb appeal instead of regular grass.
It depends on where you live, though. That stuff looks so weird when you see it in Michigan. It looks so strange. I see it in Arizona, and I'm like, I get it. This makes sense. But I see it in Michigan, I'm like, oh, you lazy ass.
That is another good point, though. I wouldn't have thought about that. But yeah, you are right. Yeah, that's true.
Adding unpermitted structures is on here. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Just don't do that.
Well, because nothing's worse than seeing a listing for, something that has, a certain number of bedrooms and it's something that was done outside of code, because then you can have issues when it comes to closing and the appraiser comes in there and they're like, oh, we see some unpermitted additions and you're in a world of trouble.
And ultimately, I know the horror stories out there about people and codes and inspectors and eye roll stuff, but those codes also exist for a reason.
Yes.
It's protecting you along with the property. Last on this list is setting an unrealistic asking price. Obviously, we got Joelle coming on today. She's going to talk about writing offers that make sense, but you need people to make you an offer. And if you're way out of your league when it comes to pricing, well, then you're in trouble. I'm imagining, Crystal, we're going to link to this in the show notes.
Yes. Head to stackingdeeds.net/show notes and you will get a link to these articles and maybe a little bit of extra commentary.
Coming up next, I was in Austin, Texas recently, and I saw that this woman was going to be at one of the premier bookstores in Austin talking about her book, actually one of the premier bookstores on earth. It's called Book People. And she was going to be talking about her book. And I'm like, oh, we got to have her on the show. Joelle Dowe coming on to talk about how to write offers that are so good that people are going to give it to you. That's exactly what we want, right? We want to write the right offer.
Make it rain those keys. Ouch.
It's going to be great. Joelle, we're going to pick up here in a minute, but buckle up, people, because Doug's got a pop quiz.
I sure do, Joe. And Crystal, hey there, Dieters. I'm Ruth's wrench-wielding repair guru, neighbor Doug. Like you, I love the thrill of wheeling and dealing. There's nothing more exciting than feeling like you've used your wits and intelligence and guile to outsmart the seller and score a great deal. And for the first time, I now realize that explains why I shop at Dollar General. Know who else was great at making deals? Napoleon. That guy really knew how to make offers no one could refuse. I mean, why else would Josephine hang out with the OG of all short kings? Anywho, back in those days, Napoleon made a deal with USA's Pres number 3 that was the real estate deal to end all real estate deals. So here's today's question. What tract of land did Napoleon offer good old Tommy Jefferson that would double the size of the U.S.? I'll be back right after I go offer the general just 98 cents for a bag of 6 golf tees. I'm not paying $1 for that. I'm going to bring that cashier to their knees.
You know, Crystal, we're talking with this brilliant team today about benefits, but one benefit that people can give themselves is better property management. And we've mentioned a ton of property management softwares that are out there, but let's give people 3 reasons why the one we're about to mention is different. First, software alone doesn't really solve your problem.
And that's why Hemlane's property management provides 24/7 repair coordination. That's right. You can either use your own service professionals or you can tap into their licensed network. Notice I said licensed network.
Right. No, that's a good point. And we talked earlier in the show about it. Don't ask how, ask who. And Hemlane definitely knows who the who's are. Second, many of you are investing out of state. So Hemlane connects you with licensed leasing agents and other tenant placement services to help you find and place a tenant.
And then third, Hemlane is ranked number 1 by Gartner with 4.8 star reviews.
Wow.
So they're legit. Yeah, I know when I'm looking for food, if it's 4.5 and under, I'm not touching the restaurant.
Yeah. When you see the sign that says discount sushi, you're like, no, probably not. Not 2 words that go together. Manage your rental properties with 100% transparency and control without the administrative work through Hemlane. They offer everything from advertising your rental to over 30 rental websites to automatic rent collection and late fees. Best of all, you can tap into their network for a more hands-off and remote experience. Hemlane will increase your satisfaction and your cash flow with your rental properties.
So visit www.hemlane.com and don't forget to mention to tell Hemlane that you heard about them through Stacking Deeds. Hemlane will dramatically improve your property management.
We talk about Hemlane because of the fact that we believe in them very much, to the point that we have an affiliate deal with them. So if you'd like to help the show and help yourself, make sure when you go to hemlane.com, you tell them what Crystal you just said.
Yep.
Please tell them Stacking Deeds
sent you.
We should have coordinated that.
Hey there, Deeters. I'm Dollar Deal Maker and definitely not a short king, Ruth's mechanic neighbor Doug. Before the break, we asked you what land deal did French Emperor Napoleon strike with the U.S. that nearly doubled the size of our country? Before I tell you, would you be surprised to learn that many Americans were opposed to the purchase, saying we are to give money we don't have for land we already have too much of? Yeah, right, like it's even possible to have too much land. And Napoleon's own brothers tried to talk him out of the deal. I hear the only reason the whole thing closed was because Napoleon offered Jefferson this sweet toaster oven at closing. So, what tract of land did we snag for just 15 mil? The answer is Louisiana. Well, yeah, technically it was Louisiana and its spacious backyard, which stretched all the way to Canada. But we really did it for the beignets and jazz. And we didn't even have to lift our tops to get beads in the deal. Well, Jefferson did it anyways, but he didn't have to. And now, let's pull this rig over and see if we can't pick up Joelle Dowe, who's going to talk to us about writing offers no one can refuse. See ya!
Oh, it looks like we have Joelle Dowe. Ruth, can you pull over? Come on in, Joelle.
Hi, Crystal.
Let's scoot over. So as you can see, we like to pick up strangers, but I know you are a realtor. I've seen your face on a bench. Why is the face so important? I wonder. That is one industry where you definitely see you want to connect with the person that's handling your business. Is that it? I don't know.
Yes, that's it. Know, like, and trust. And I guess if they see my face on a billboard, they'll get to hopefully know, like, and trust me more with familiarity, right?
I like it. What are my advantages when, I guess, let's say if there's a seller's market versus a buyer's market, and where are we today?
Yeah. So I'm going to speak broad
Okay, yeah.
terms here, Crystal. Yeah. So when we're talking about markets, I'll just kind of walk it back even more.
Mm-hmm.
The markets go back to if I have a home for sale and all of the homes were to be sold today, how long would it take for them to sell? So the market stats for Austin, Travis County metro area just came out for March. So here we are, mid-April. We just got all of the statistics in for March. And right now in Austin, for example, where I live, the homes are staying on the market for 80 days. Okay, so it's really not long. So that is 2.6 months on market. And the book that I contributed to, I kind of break it down what a seller's market is. For example, for what I just talked about for months of inventory, what a seller's market is on one end, the middle market, a balanced market, and then on the other end, a buyer's market. So we're technically here in Austin, for example's sake, in a seller's market with 2.6 months of inventory. And that seems, compared to where we were, Crystal, I'm not sure if it was like this in Virginia or your market, Chicago, but it was cray, girl, in the pandemic. Cray. We're talking 6 days, 5 days.
4 days. Yeah, I sold a place
4
during
days.
the pandemic, and it was nuts. But then there are a lot of learning opportunities too. And that is the whole reason of having a professional, because there are a lot of things that, this was my first time. I had a realtor. This was our first time experiencing a crazy market like that. So when I was accepting offers, I really didn't know what to be picky about, when accepting offers. So what are some things that make us more attractive as a buyer, in a seller's market? And then explain to our dealers what that means. Like if it's a seller's market, who's at an advantage and who's at a disadvantage? And then how do you, work your magic there?
Great question. Okay. For a seller's market, it's just like it says, the seller's at the advantage. Balanced market, that's ideal, right? Where you give some, the buyer gives some, the seller gives some, and then a buyer's market, they've got all the power and the sellers are just like, whatever you want, you got it. So the most important thing, Crystal, I would say is if you are in a seller's market like we are right now, get a knowledgeable agent who is going to go the extra mile. And I'm talking pick up the phone and find out what's important to that seller.
Got it. See, that is important. What's important to the seller. So their realtor should know, or I guess, what can the seller's agent be more secretive about? Like, are they really going to tell you, oh, this person's desperate, any offer go, or this person has a new job? So are those clues to look for when you're making your offers?
Well, they do have a confidentiality fiduciary agreement to their sellers, but they want what's in the best interest of their seller. And you, as a buyer's agent, want to win. You want to get your buyer that property. And a lot of times they will tell you, like, you can obviously price, that's a no-brainer, is price important. But above and beyond price is, do they want a quick close? Do they want flexibility, let's say, on their move-out date of the home? So with having a conversation, you can kind of suss out a lot of those things and figure out what is important. And a lot of times they'll tell you. And what I really don't understand, though, is when we have a listing, we just get these offers in blind. And the ones that really have the best shot at getting one are the ones where the agents have taken the time to call. Like, I can't believe more agents don't take the time to call me, or call the listing agent,
I feel like I would assume they're just super, super crazy busy and they don't have time for calls. But the call, I guess that would make a difference, because I know there are a lot of things that I wish I'd known, even in the contract, because there are a lot of things to make yourself more desirable as a buyer than if it's in a seller's market. Like, I'm trying to, get our dealers in the best position, because we always speak. Number one is your budget. Never budge on your budget. Don't get into these bidding wars. Have your budget, have your ceiling. That way it'll be, as stress-free as possible. But there are things I didn't know, like I offered a warranty when it was in a seller's market, not knowing, hey, when I had all those offers in front of me, how do you pick the best one? I didn't know that. I just could have said, okay, maybe since it's a seller's market, I didn't have to offer that. And then appraisal clause, I didn't know that if there's a clause that's saying, hey, I'm going to bid, let's say I'll offer 30,000 over, but the appraisal clause says, but if it appraises for lower, then, I just pay whatever the appraisal is. So I didn't know that you can negotiate that too in your contract. So I guess my question is, how are we as buyers, how do we know what things that we can negotiate on to make ourselves more attractive during bidding wars? Or do we sit out a bidding war?
Well, if you're in a bidding war, that selling agent has done a good job in pricing the property correctly for the market that it's in. I mean, if it's an overpriced property, you're not even going to get to the bidding war.
True.
But if you are in a bidding war, you find yourself in a, competitive offer situation, you just want to make your offer be as clean, meaning straightforward as possible, meaning remove any contingencies. So, we're not going to have to deal with possibly selling another home that I don't know, how good a shape that house is in and all of that. So you can really ferret all of that out with talking to the agent.
What are some other contingencies that some sellers look at and they're like, okay, this person is not serious. Like, I'm not bending over backwards for you.
Okay. So we can get people. And when I was getting multiple offers in the pandemic, I wouldn't even look at an offer, let's say, if they didn't have their pre-approval letter attached to the offer. That would go in the we're not even looking at it pile. Not to be mean, but that just shows the sellers that you're serious as a buyer. You've taken the time to get pre-approved for your financing. Or we did see, here in Austin, we've got a lot of people moving from the coast. There's a lot of tech development going on here.
Oh, yeah.
And so we would have people with cash offers. And if they submitted a cash offer, we'd have them, like X out, all of the account numbers and things. And they would have to, prove that they didn't just put this money in 2 days ago, it would have to be in there. So they would have to prove like the cash, buoyancy of their finances. But yeah, so that one thing is just making sure that you've got all of your ducks in a row. Like when I'm writing an offer, I'll put everything that are the main points for, sometimes those offers are 57 pages long with everything going.
57,
so I'll put
7, wow.
Mm-hmm. So I'll put everything like bullet points, and just to make it easy, like this is a cash offer. We can close in 30 days or whenever you want, basically, because it's cash, just let title do their job. We can put everything that's important. Okay, you want cash, financing, everything. We're getting the title policy. Oh, this property doesn't have a survey. We're negotiable on the survey. And just whatever it is, just put it right there so that they're not having to read all, because they're promulgated forms,
Right.
standardized forms.
Legalese or jargon.
Yeah.
And even inspections. We always say never, never skip the survey. But how do you make yourself more attractive in the survey front? Like, because you want to protect yourself even as a buyer too.
So now in a more balanced market, for an average sized home, let's say we are seeing, about $200 to take that property off the market for 7 days. And during the 7 day, 5 to 7 days, $200, for an average size home, 3-bed, 2-bath in Travis County. And so in Texas, you can get your inspection and you can back out for any reason really during that 7-day option period. So once you get the inspection, like I just had one 2 weeks ago where it was an estate situation. I was representing the buyer. And roof had been replaced within 5 years, and the HVAC was just replaced in July of 2023, but it was an estate. So the owner of the home had been deceased for 2 years, and it was a vacant property. So the 3 sons lived out of state, and they knew the HVAC didn't work. They put it in. And so basically, my client made an offer. When we got the inspector in there, they were like, well, it's a new HVAC, but it didn't pass the cooling differential.
Oops.
It's under warranty. I'm sure the sellers are going to need to know that and have that checked out and fixed. And then even though the roof was 5 years old, it had some leaks and sagging. And so maybe who knows what happened with that roof installation. Maybe they did it on the cheap, or it just wasn't done to certain standards. But yeah, you need to have an inspection. And then those are negotiating points. And that one ended up falling out of contract because she was like, whoa, once the inspection came in, and the gas wasn't even turned on. All of the utilities have to be turned on. But, it wasn't the realtor's fault. The owner lives out of state. And he turned it off for safety purposes and forgot to tell her he turned it back on. So that was all without any hot water or anything that, the gas heats up the hot water in the house. That was all. She was just like, oh, this is just too big of a project. We're going to back out. But she was only out the $200 versus if she had gone past the 7 days, could have potentially lost the earnest money for keeping it off the market, lost her. Yeah.
Wow. So that is a good point to have that survey early as possible. So let's talk about the flip side. Like when you're a buyer, when it's a buyer's market, like as Michael Scott says, how are the turntables when it's a buyer's market?
When it's a buyer's market, the seller is just looking to get out, and as intact as possible and hopefully not lose so much money. So the buyers really have all the power. So they can just be like, you need to fix this, or give us this amount of money, or we're going to walk away.
Got it.
So it's just
that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. So then in a buyer's market, there's more buyers.
They can get closing cost, ton of closing costs. So my husband and I bought our first house in 2002, and it was a buyer's market then. Like Austin has not seen a buyer's market in a hot minute because it's, just
it's Austin.
I guess a unicorn.
You can't even lie.
It's a unicorn. Yeah.
It's Austin. Like everybody knows the word got out about Austin.
It got out.
And now you can't get in there.
But when we bought our house, it had been on the market for a while back then, and it was a corporate relocation. So it was an 11-month-old house, and they were still building in our old neighborhood, but it was great because they had put these nice window treatments on, and they had, kind of made it. They thought they were going to be there, and then he got a job transfer. But the company paid our closing, like not all of them, but some of our closing costs.
How would you even know that? Like, is that a part of the negotiations or?
So that was actually listed in the MLS saying that the sellers are going to contribute whatever it was, $7,000 towards the buyer's closing costs. And I've got one right now where these sellers are motivated to sell. So we looked at this house yesterday. I found out today that the sellers are offering $5,000 and a buy down the rate for the seller. It's so huge because my client, that means for her monthly payment, if they buy down $5,000 on her mortgage, her monthly payment's going to be lower. And so that's very sweet for her.
Right. That is a very important tool also for our deeders because, a lot of people are shying away from buying because of the interest rates, but that can be a negotiation tool to help with that payment.
For sure.
So how do we even word that? Do you think those only come along in a buyer's market or, why not? Let's just give it a try.
I would hold, like, if it was a situation like this, the house was built in 2018. Beautiful home. You could tell their kids had been there. I'm sure they're settled with their kids. They're wanting to get this mortgage off the books. So if I know that an offer's coming or that they seem serious, I'll be like, okay, to encourage her to write an offer. For this situation, I wouldn't put that in MLS, but the agent texted me, hey, I talked to my clients. And if, your client moves forward with an offer, because she wanted to see it again. And so that's always a good time. But speed, too, is so important.
Speed.
This house just hit the market.
Wow. Congrats to them. So do you think that's something that's, hidden in MLS listings or that just goes back to picking up the phone and having a realtor that, has the know-it-all to call and, price out or case the seller to see, is this a motivated seller, no matter what market it is?
Yeah, just get with an agent that's familiar with your hyper local market. Like for
Hyper-local.
me, hyper local, I've lived in Austin since 97. I went to college 30 minutes down the road. So I've been in the area since 92,
Yeah.
lived in Austin since 97. So like someone like me, there's Joelle's in every market, just get someone who knows that area inside and out and who's going to advocate for you. And when you're interviewing agents, the agent's interviewing you as much as you're interviewing them.
Yeah.
And you guys want to make sure that you can work together and that you have good communication. And neither body is a bad guy if it doesn't work out, but you want to find somebody that you can work together and trust and who's going to advocate for you.
That's true. We always say also that this is a people business. So if you don't have that connection, well, then that brings up another point of, when we are interviewing realtors, maybe instead of picking one strictly off the internet, we give them a call. And if they can't answer our call, then they are not a phone person. So it's maybe they're not communicating with other realtors and really not tuned into the market to see, what kind of sellers there are. Are there any baseline steps you take when you are deciding if you're going to work with a buyer, a potential, like a client or not, whether they're a seller or buyer?
From the realtor's perspective, I'm looking for someone who is going to respect me and my expertise while being informed themselves, and just making sure that that synergy is there, that we work together. Because the last thing you ever want to get is someone who doesn't really want to work with their agent or vice versa. Because think about it, right? If they're not happy, then what's the point? They need to find someone that they're going to be happy with. And that I think trust is the biggest thing with that.
Okay.
Because if they're not happy, or say somebody, we all know those personalities, like maybe they're just never going to be satisfied or happy.
Yeah, there are extremes because there are people that are never happy. Let's you get a know-it-all, someone who thinks they know every single thing. Like, oh no, I know this unicorn is out there. You just can't find it for me. I need to find it. Yeah, because years ago I was a realtor in the Chicago market, and I had a guy who he would think that my whole Saturday I just wanted to drive him around to properties, and then he would send me, at the end of the day, this long sheet of fax these offers to these properties. And it'd be like 10,000, 20,000. And I'm like, they're going to paint me as an idiot, first of all, for giving you time of day. And second of all, for, faxing in these lowball offers. So, I want our deeders to not be that person and be amazing clients so that realtors bring us the off-market deals, because that is where, you get a lot of deals too, though, before they hit the market. That's where a lot of money is made. So where do we find our Joelles in our markets if we're not in Austin?
I say referrals, or you know what? Get on social media if you don't, have anyone that you're like, okay, or maybe you're trying to keep it on the down low. Like, I don't want everyone hounding me about buying this new house or investing or whatever. I don't want people knowing my business. All of our business, we still get leads through, our sphere, friends and family, but we're doing a lot of just online presence, and I'm out there on Instagram, Facebook, doing reels. And there's a lovely gal in my office, Brandy. She just got her first person because she was on Instagram. I'm going to do a little bragging on my transaction coordinator, Brandy Summers. Shout out to Brandy, girl. Woohoo, Brandy. She is very, very good at her Instagram reel, and she's funny. And the client now tried calling another realtor. They didn't call her back. And then Brandy reached out to, I believe it was in her DMs, because she had posted some Instagram reels and they thought that she seemed nice.
Oh, that's all it is. See, it's people, it's personality.
It's definitely a people business. Yeah. And they just closed. And I mean, how great, because we're a boutique brokerage. There's 10 agents total, including the broker. That was our first real success from just, we'd made it an intentional focus to go out there and be more present and not clobber people over the head with use me as your realtor, but just like we're
Education,
here.
Yeah. or
Yeah.
that too. Yeah.
Providing value.
Yeah, that's helpful too. Well, thank you for your time. I'm trying to think before I say bye. Was there anything else we should cover? We covered buyers markets, we covered sellers markets, we covered how not to be a-hole clients and how to find. Are there any other red flag kind of questions we should ask or that we're looking for, when we're looking for our realtor is going to help us find our next investment property?
So someone like me, I am in a group of people that we do continuing education. We're on weekly Zoom calls and we're all over the country. And so I have people, if I don't have someone in that city, we can get someone to refer them to who is vetted and trusted within the real estate community. So if we refer someone, we're basically vouching for them.
Okay.
So I've got 14 other agents across the country that I know personally and would vouch for, and they send clients to me and vice versa. I send clients to them.
Oh, that's great.
Someone who's networked. Yeah.
Very well networked and an expert in the city. All right. Well, there you have it, Dieters. So Ruth just randomly kicks people out of the car, myself included. So it looks like we both might head to the bus stop after this. So Joelle, tell us where we can find you online, first of all.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm Joelle Dowe with Let's Move Austin, and it's www.letsmoveaustin.com/Joelle.
Perfect. So tell us about the book also. So you are a part of the book with 14 other awesome realtors.
Agents, yeah. And we have collectively decided to publish the ultimate guide to buying your home.
Great.
So in addition to my chapters, you can learn just basically soup to nuts about the best practices on the buy side. And the easiest way is to get it on Amazon. And we did go to #1 in Amazon in both real estate and buying and selling homes.
Oh, congratulations. And the book is for a good cause, too. Tell us about the charity you guys support, the book support.
Yes. It's called Compassion International. And all of the authors collectively decided that any proceeds that we get from the book are going to go to that charity. So you can get a lot of great real estate advice and help feed and clothe the children. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I love the children because, a lot of children are in situations that are totally outside of their control. So I love supporting children and teachers and even educators and people who, we're like-minded people that just love spreading knowledge. So thank you for being a part of that collective. And thanks for coming on and educating our Dieters today and accepting a ride from a stranger, which, in real life, do not do, people. Unless it's an Uber. Ruth doesn't understand what Uber means, so we just said forget it.
Well, in this case, I'm making an exception. Thank you so much, Crystal.
All right.
As Joelle gets out of the car, I'm getting back in, Crystal.
Hey, welcome back.
How did it go?
It went great. I can't wait to have Joelle back on just to give us more knowledge. Like, I loved her personality, and I love what she said about, just there's so many things like in different markets that you just don't think about. So make sure you have a realtor that is hyper focused, hyper involved in the area that you want to invest in, because that's priceless. They're going to be the first ones to know what kind of trends there are in that market. And you can't know everything and you can't know all the insider info because she talks to other realtors. They have an ongoing relationship. So that's what you need. You need that insider knowledge.
Crystal, as you guys were talking, I was thinking about, and Doug, you're going to have to help me with this. Going down the Woodward corridor in Detroit, there is a community called Ferndale. And then north of that, there's Huntington Woods, but there's a little tiny area between those two that is called...
I think you're talking about Berkeley?
No, it's only just a few streets. It's a really, really small area in Detroit.
Pleasant Ridge?
Pleasant Ridge.
Yeah. That's it. Yep.
And the reason I bring up Pleasant Ridge is because, Crystal, there is a real estate pro who owns Pleasant Ridge. If you are buying in Pleasant Ridge, if you are selling in Pleasant Ridge, that is all she does. And she knows everything about Pleasant Ridge. And everyone even tells you at this point, they're like, if you're going into Pleasant Ridge and you don't have this woman on your team, you're screwed. you're just screwed. Not that people won't work with you. It's not like the mafia, but people don't have any clue
Right.
what's going on compared to her because she is so deeply ingrained in this neighborhood. Everybody who wants to buy in Pleasant Ridge goes to her.
Cool.
Everybody who is selling goes to her. And so she's so tied in with that community that she can help you, whether you're a buyer or a seller, get the deal done quickly and find your best deal. It is truly helpful to know who that person is. And I got to think, if you're in a community, you're like, yeah, that person doesn't exist. You're not in that community enough.
That is true, because there is.
Yeah, while they're not maybe as tied in as she is, because it's such a, I mean, Pleasant Ridge, Doug, is maybe what, 10 blocks?
Oh, it's not
20
that
blocks?
No
it's
way.
not. It's not big.
Not city blocks anyways.
Yeah.
But it is. There's great architecture in there. Yeah, once again, we can bash 696 again. We just did it on Stacking Benjamins, but 696 ruined half of Pleasant Ridge back in the day when they ran through. But what's left is beautiful.
Is that a road, 696?
Yeah.
Pleasant Ridge was,
it's one of those,
it's a
like
highway.
every city has kind of
the
loop
beltway
highway around the city.
Yeah, the beltway.
Circle loop.
Got it.
Yeah.
Darn.
And it goes right through
Dissects
Pleasant
it.
Ridge. And now there's just a couple blocks south of the highway that are these beautiful old Detroit homes, just wonderful houses. But I think you got to know who those people are. So absolutely, absolutely love that. And you know what? This ties in. I mean, think about how all of our guests tie into each other. Dr. Seth Kaplan, Crystal, talked about when you get to know a community, you know, the people in the community trust you more, you get tied in. So not only are you going to make a great deal, I mean, all of these things all work together.
Oh, yep. Your realtor. There you go. There's your introduction to the neighborhood. So-and-so Joe loves to bake cookies. Neighbor Doug loves to mow lawns. So you're going to get to know everybody in the neighborhood.
Take that out. Take that out.
Doug furiously shaking his head. Yes. Don't love anything with lawns. Hey, time to take a call to Ruth's Rotary. We do not have a call to Ruth's Rotary today. We actually have an email that we received. Crystal, who's our email from?
Yes, we do. All right. So we have a question from Bert. Oh, I wonder if he lives with Ernie.
Oh, my God.
We might know these two, Ernie and Bert. All right. So Bert's question is, I've found a townhome in an area that I really, really love, but what are some pros and cons of HOA? And HOAs are homeowner associations for anyone who's lucky enough to not know what those are.
Let's start with the positives because people in our community don't think about the positives of an HOA. We just think negative immediately. If you have any experience in this area, like, nope. HOAs suck, and they can suck. However, they take care of the green spaces. In some HOAs, they take care of the road. If it's a private subdivision, they can take care of the road. They take care of all of the shared space that people have. They also set rules so that your neighbors can't have, as an example, we were talking about car up in blocks in the front yard. They might have rules around what you can put in your front yard. And sometimes the reason people don't like HOAs is because sometimes those can get onerous and you get overreaching, power hungry for no reason neighbors who want to impose their will on every single thing that you do.
Oh, yeah. I remember getting fined for having a DirecTV satellite in the wrong place. Like I didn't want them to drill holes into my property. So I had like a really small pole, like right in my own driveway. And they were like, nope.
You know, the other thing to realize or know about HOAs is while we all think of the Karens and is it Kevin? Is that the male version of a Karen now? Is it Kevin?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
I think that's starting to get traction. But anyway, we think they're local.
I feel bad, by the way, because Doug, we have not only the nicest Karen on our staff.
Karen, we do.
We also have a pretty kick-ass Kevin on our staff. So it wouldn't.
Yeah, we
sucks
do.
to be them. I mean, they should have thought of that, really. But anyway, but what a lot of people don't realize, especially in newer neighborhoods, is that these HOAs are not concerned citizens who are just a pain in the ass who live, 2 streets away and want to make sure that the flowers all look the same. They're actually corporations. And newer developments, the HOAs are things that are built in to the building of this thing, to this neighborhood. And then after all the building's done, and even before the building's totally done, it's actually a company that owns that HOA that runs it. And it's a for-profit revenue generating thing. And so they're creating a lot of these violations because they got to find money somewhere to justify their existence and pay these people. And they've got headquarters 2 states away. So it's not always just, well-intentioned but pain in the butt neighbors. It's somebody who's got to find money to keep their job.
I believe it because I know in my neighborhood, they used to drive around on golf carts, looking for violations. And now I hear that they have drone footage that can automatically look for the violations. And the combination with AI,
That's legal. You don't own the airspace over your house. That's FAA controlled space, even an inch off the ground. And so, drones can fly wherever they want within limits. There's restrictions around airports and things, but otherwise, technically, they can do that. They can use satellite footage now, too. A couple of lawsuits that are in process right now arguing about that.
I think this is definitely a case where when you're moving in and there's an HOA, you need to ask some questions about the HOA, because the HOA in my old neighborhood was not onerous at all. And it was a small fee. They took care of all the green space. It was a good group of people, and our neighborhood ran great because of the HOA. Like, it was truly not that horror story at all.
That is true. Yeah, it could be a good thing. And it keeps people from having 10,000 gnomes and those flamingos in their front yard, because that's an eyesore. I'd be reporting that person too. It's like, look, they're trying to clutter up our neighborhood. We don't want that.
Especially if it's right next to your rental. Nobody wants to live next to that. Or they really, really do.
Who knows?
And then you got to worry about your renter. Are they going to make the rent on time? I don't know.
They'll take care of like the shoveling, the grass cutting, and there are things that a lot of people just don't want to do. Or when you're thinking about when you're getting older, and if you don't want to do shoveling and grass cutting, then, it's a good thing.
But there's even bigger things, Crystal, that we need to think about with HOAs, because HOAs can kibosh short-term rental opportunities. They can say you can't do short-term rentals. They can also kibosh rentals. Just rentals. So you need to know before you go buy a house if the HOA is going to ruin your landlord dreams, like you.
Right. And going back, because Joe's a big proponent of this too, reading that contract. When you're buying a home that's in an HOA community, you have to agree and say, look, I read all of the HOA documents, and those can run in the hundreds of pages, but you are stating that I read it and I understand it, just in case there's this big assessment coming up. You were informed about it. So it's not a surprise 5 years later when they're like, oh yeah, it's an extra $5,000 per month because we had to replace the roof or replace everybody's deck. Then you're signing something saying, whether it was buried or not, you're saying, yep, I read and I understand everything about the HOA and the rules. You're signing something saying, yes, I read the rules. So if you violate a rule, ignorance is not bliss here. Like, you can't use that as an excuse.
Ignorance is not bliss. Maybe that's what we title the episode.
Segment.
It's also not a legal defense. Don't ask me how I know
that. 1 star. We've got a way for you to call in to Ruth's Rotary. What's the number, Crystal? How do people call in with their question?
The number is www.stackingdeeds.net/voicemail. And you can leave us a voicemail, and then we will have your lovely voice on our show and we'll answer your question.
People could also get the show notes emailed.
Yes. Head to stackingdeeds.net/show notes.
Awesome. And we will lovingly deliver those to your inbox each week.
Inbox.
Coming up next week, Bernice Ross is a professor emeritus of psychology and CEO and president of Brokerage Up and realestatecoach.com. She's an international author, speaker, and trainer. 40 years of experience. She teaches women how to become successful real estate investors. But you know what? Next week, whether you're a woman or a man, she's going to teach all of us how to be better real estate investors. So Bernice Ross joining us in the back of Ruth's car next week, Crystal. That should be fun.
Yes, looking forward to that.
All right. I think Doug has got it from here. After, Crystal, how do people get a hold of you if they want to say hi or if they got questions?
Yeah, say hi to me over at Condo Crystal. And I spell Crystal a regular way, Crystal. There's people in my own family that don't spell my name right. And don't get me started on the emails when they have to search for my name to email me. And then they spell it wrong in the email. I'm like,
really?
Okay.
Well,
I got to know, like, how are they screwing this up?
With a K I've gotten CHRISTLE. Like there's been so many different. It's like
Cristal, like the vodka.
like the champagne.
Yeah.
Yes.
Champagne, whatever.
Yes. And I'm like, nope, how about you just call me Crystal? Yeah.
I'm not with a K like the champagne. I'm the C like the meth.
Ah.
That's good. I like it. I thought he was going to say like the stripper, but I mean,
Like the meth.
that's better.
No.
Spell it the normal way. Like I live in a single wide in the backwoods of Kentucky.
Wow.
Oh, that's great. Well, don't get me started, Crystal, on
No.
my relatives who think I'm named Joel. So
Just add extra letters. That 3 letters is
still happens.
too
Yeah.
much.
And you can find me, Average Joe Money, on X or Twitter sometimes. Find me more reliably over on Instagram at Stacking Benjamins Podcast. All right. I think that's going to do it. Is it, Crystal?
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening and sticking around.
Thanks a ton. Tell your friends if this is going to help somebody become a new real estate investor. Of course, Crystal and I both on our real estate journey. Come along with us, bring other people along with us. And we'd love to have you and your friends, not just next week, but every week here on the show. Doug, what's our big takeaway this week?
Well, Joe, I've got a few big takeaways. Here's what you should do based on what we learned today. First, take some advice from Joelle Dowe. Know the heartbeat of your neighborhood. If you don't, find a pro who does know the area completely. By knowing everything about a neighborhood and digging in, you'll score much better deals because when writing great deals, knowledge is power. Second, take some advice from our headline and get rid of that cinnamon accent wall. Your buyer needs to be able to see themselves.
Whoa.
Now that's
That
a
was the key
stripper
lesson
name.
for me.
Cinnamon, that's a stripper name.
Cinnamon like the stripper.
Your buyer has to be able to see themselves sleeping in your bed and not with you and your favorite toys.
And your
Oh,
favorite stripper.
I'm talking about stuffed animals. Get your head out of the gutter, people.
Oh.
But the big lesson, when you're driving a hard bargain, be sure to look for the seller's weakness. Napoleon needed cash for a war, and Ruth needs money to buy a new CPAP machine. Hey, Ruth, I'll give you $20 if I can ride shotgun. Thanks to Joelle Dowe for joining us today. You'll find her new book, The Ultimate Guide to Buying Your Home, Insider Secrets from the Nation's Top Agents, wherever books are sold. We'll also include links in our show notes at stackingdeeds.net.